Ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully. The most powerful force you will ever encounter is not the economy, it's not politics, it's not your boss, it's not even the people who doubt you. The most powerful force in your life is the mind you carry with you right now. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your deadliest prison. Every thought, every belief, every meaning you attach to an event shapes the direction of your entire life. And here's the truth. If you don't control the mind will control you. Think about it. The majority of people are not living life. They're being lived by their thoughts. They wake up and immediately replay the same mental patterns they had yesterday. They think the same way, feel the same way, act the same way, and then they wonder why their life never changes. But when you decide to take control of the mind, when you recognize that you are not your thoughts, you're the master of them, that's when everything shifts. Let me tell you this, the mind is like a wild horse. If you let it run wild, it will drag you into fear, self, doubt, and limitations. But if you learn to grab the reins, to train it, to direct it, suddenly that same power that was once working against you becomes the very force that takes you to the life you've always wanted. How do you do this? You start with awareness. Catch yourself when your mind feeds you a story of fear, of lack, of I can't. Ask yourself who's talking right now, me or the voice of my conditioning, because that voice isn't you. That's just an old script. And guess what? You can tear that script up and write a new one. Second, emotion. Your mind follows the state of your body. If you slump your shoulders, breathe shallow, and move slow, your mind will find reasons to feel small. But if you change your physiology, stand tall, breathe deeply, move with energy, you trigger your brain to follow, control your body, and you begin to control your state. Control your state, and you begin to control your mind. Third, focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you constantly focus on what's missing, on what's wrong, your mind will deliver more of that. But the moment you direct your focus towards solutions, possibilities, gratitude, and action, your mind begins to serve you instead of sabotage you. Let me ask you, are you willing to stop being a prisoner of your thoughts? Are you willing to stop letting fear dictate your decisions? Are you willing to train the most powerful tool you will ever own? Because when you control the mind, you control the emotions. When you control the emotions, you control the actions. And when you control the actions, you control the destiny of your life. The mind is not your master, it's your servant. It's waiting for you to step up and give it direction. So right now, make the decision. No more running on autopilot. No more being enslaved by doubt. Take control of your mind, and I promise you'll take control of your life. Awareness is the foundation of all transformation. Before you can take control of anything in your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, your emotions, you must first become aware of what is happening inside you, in your mind, and in your world. Awareness is the key that unlocks the door to possibility. Without it, you are wandering through life on autopilot, letting circumstances, other people's opinions, and outdated beliefs dictate the trajectory of your existence. Most people operate unconsciously, reacting to situations based on past programming, social conditioning, and the incessant chatter in their own heads. They wake up, check their phones, respond to emails, worry about the future, regret the past, and think they are making choices. But these choices are simply reactions formed by the lack of awareness. True power begins when you notice what is happening in your mind. You start paying attention to the thoughts that come up, the emotions that accompany them, the physical sensations they produce, and the actions they trigger. Awareness is the mirror that shows you the truth of your inner world. When you are aware, you stop blaming the outside world for your inner state. You stop giving other people the power to make you feel frustrated, anxious, or inadequate. You start to see that it is your perception, your interpretation, your meaning, and your focus that determine how you experience life. The moment you realize this, you step into your personal power. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a room full of radios, each one broadcasting a different station. Some radios play fear, doubt, and criticism. Others play encouragement, curiosity, and possibility. Most people listen to all the radios at once, letting the noise overwhelm them, leaving them confused and exhausted. Awareness allows you to identify which radio stations are playing, to notice the ones that serve you and the ones that don't, and then to consciously choose which frequency to tune into. When you practice awareness, you begin to see patterns in your thinking. You notice that certain triggers consistently produce stress, anger, or sadness. You recognize that you have been carrying beliefs that are outdated, false, or limiting, and you realize that these beliefs are not inherently true. They are choices you made long ago, often unconsciously. This realization is liberating because it gives you the opportunity to change. You can decide not to be a victim of your old programming. You can take the microphone out of the hand of the voices that tell you, you can't, you're not enough, or life is too hard, and give it to the voice that empowers you, that reminds you of your capability, your resilience, and your potential. Awareness also gives you the ability to pause. Most people respond automatically to every stimulus in their life. Someone says something hurtful and they react with anger. A challenge arises and they react with panic or avoidance. Awareness allows you to break the automatic cycle. It gives you a split second to ask, is this thought serving me? Is this reaction empowering me? That split second is the difference between a life dictated by your environment and a life directed by your conscious choices. Being aware doesn't mean you will never feel fear, doubt, or frustration. It means that you will notice these emotions when they arise, understand their origin, and decide whether to let them control you or to use them as signals to shift your focus. Awareness is the starting point for every change you want to make. You cannot improve what you do not see. You cannot transform what you do not understand. When you are truly aware, you see the habits you have formed, the thought patterns you repeat, and the mental conversations that have been running in the background for years. Some of these may be helpful, but many will be holding you back. Awareness allows you to see them clearly so that you can choose to replace, modify, or eliminate them. Awareness is also a form of self-respect. It means you are willing to look honestly at yourself without judgment, without excuses, without hiding behind blame or distraction. It means you are willing to take full responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And when you do this, a profound shift occurs in your energy. People are drawn to those who are aware because awareness carries clarity, confidence, and intentionality. It is magnetic because it signals mastery over the self, and mastery over the self is the first step toward mastery over life. Awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, everything that was previously hidden becomes visible. You see where you've been stumbling, where you've been settling, and where you've been wasting energy. You see opportunities you were previously blind to, possibilities that were invisible when you were distracted by unconscious habits. And as the light of awareness spreads, you begin to feel a sense of control, a sense of freedom, and a sense of possibility that you may never have experienced before. Practicing awareness is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process. It is noticing your thoughts in the morning, observing your reactions throughout the day, and reflecting on your choices in the evening. It is asking yourself, am I living in alignment with my values, my goals, and my true potential? Awareness is the precursor to strategy, to action, and to excellence. Without it, no amount of motivation, no amount of coaching, and no amount of effort will lead to lasting change. People often try to act without awareness, and it is like trying to steer a car with your eyes closed. You might move forward, but you will crash into obstacles, repeat mistakes, and waste energy. Awareness opens the eyes, gives direction, and allows for precision. It is the first skill you must master before anything else. Every extraordinary person you have ever admired, every leader, innovator, athlete, and visionary shares one common trait. They developed the ability to be intensely aware of themselves. They noticed what was happening in their minds. They understood the consequences of their emotions, and they observed the ripple effects of their actions. Awareness gave them leverage. Awareness is also the bridge between reaction and creation. When you are unaware, you react. When you are aware, you create. You begin to respond intentionally to life rather than be swept along by it. You start to recognize that your inner dialogue determines the outer results. You see that your focus creates your reality. And with this realization, you gain the power to rewrite your story, redesign your habits, and redirect your life toward the outcomes you desire. Cultivating awareness is like exercising a muscle. It takes attention, practice, and consistency. The more you notice your thoughts and emotions without judgment, the stronger your awareness becomes. The more you pay attention to your triggers, your patterns, and your choices, the more control you gain. The more you bring consciousness to your decisions, the more aligned your actions become with your highest goals. Awareness is the key that unlocks all personal mastery. It is the starting point for self-discipline, for resilience, for creativity, and for success. Without awareness, you are blind and your life is at the mercy of unconscious impulses, outdated beliefs, and external pressures. With awareness, you gain clarity, power, and freedom. Awareness allows you to observe your mind without being trapped by it. It allows you to recognize that thoughts are not commands, that emotions are not mandates, and that your past does not define your future. Awareness is the moment you step off the treadmill of autopilot and take the wheel of your life. It is the moment you realize that the most powerful tool you have is not outside of you. It is the mind you carry, and the only thing standing between you and your potential is your willingness to see it clearly. Awareness gives you the ability to notice the difference between a thought that serves you and one that sabotages you, to distinguish between a feeling that propels you forward and one that holds you back, and to identify the actions that align with your goals versus the ones that keep you stuck. Awareness allows you to step into your own life rather than being carried by someone else's agenda, someone else's opinions, and someone else's expectations. Awareness is the beginning of all transformation, and it is the doorway to mastery, to control, and to extraordinary results. Your state determines everything. Every emotion you feel, every thought you think, every decision you make, and every action you take is filtered through the state you are in at that moment. Most people underestimate this truth. They think success comes from knowledge, luck, or opportunity alone. But the reality is that nothing you do will have consistent impact unless you learn to control your state. Your state is your internal environment. It is the combination of your physiology, your emotions, and your mental focus. When your state is aligned, you can access creativity, energy, clarity, and resilience at will. When your state is misaligned, even the smartest strategies, the best ideas, and the greatest opportunities can be wasted. Think about it. Have you ever tried to solve a problem when you were stressed, tired, or upset? How effective were you? Now think about a time when you were at a peak state, energized, confident, and fully present. Everything seemed to flow, ideas came easily, and solutions appeared effortlessly. This is the difference state makes. Your body and your mind are intimately connected. The way you move, breathe, and hold yourself affects the chemicals in your brain, the way you feel, and the way you think. Stand tall, take deep breaths, and you immediately feel more confident. Slouch, breathe shallowly, and your energy diminishes. This is why athletes, performers, and high achievers pay attention to their physiology as much as their skills. They know that controlling their state is the secret to consistent excellence. But it's not just about posture or breath. State also comes from emotion. Emotions are signals from your mind-body system. Fear tells you something is unknown or potentially harmful. Excitement tells you something is possible. Anger tells you something is being violated. The key is not to suppress emotions, but to recognize them, understand their source, and then consciously choose which emotions you want to amplify and which ones you want to diminish. Most people are driven by emotions they don't fully understand. They react impulsively, letting fear, frustration, or sadness dictate their actions. But when you gain control over your state, you decide how you feel in any given moment. You can choose to cultivate confidence, courage, and determination even in the face of obstacles. Focus is the third element of state. Where your mind goes, your energy flows. If you focus on what you don't have, what's wrong, or what's missing, your state shifts toward frustration, despair, or anxiety. If you focus on solutions, opportunities, and possibilities, your state shifts toward empowerment, creativity, and action. Controlling your state is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing the lens through which you experience reality. State is also contagious. Think about how you feel around different people. Some people drain you, leaving you exhausted and frustrated. Others lift you, filling you with energy and excitement. You have the ability to influence your own state and the states of those around you by the way you show up, the energy you bring, and the emotions you convey. Learning to control your state is learning to take responsibility for your energy. No one else has the power to make you feel small or powerless unless you allow them to. And no one else can give you confidence, motivation, or courage. These come from the inside, from the mastery of your state. There are simple techniques that allow you to shift your state instantly. Change your posture, change your breathing, change your focus, and your internal experience changes immediately. This is not magic, this is biology. When you move, your muscles send signals to your brain, your heart rate changes, your neurochemistry shifts, and your perception of the world shifts with it. When you control your state, you control your ability to act, to perform, to influence, and to achieve. Think about leaders, entrepreneurs, and top performers. What sets them apart is not just their knowledge or skill, it is their ability to access the right state at the right moment. They don't wait for confidence, motivation, or courage to appear, they generate it deliberately. They understand that the mind cannot separate itself from the body. If the body is weak, lethargic, or disempowered, the mind follows. If the body is energized, strong, and aligned, the mind expands, creates, and conquers. Controlling your state also gives you freedom from destructive habits. Many people are trapped by their emotional states, repeating the same behaviors because they feel powerless to act differently. But the moment you realize that your state is under your control, you realize that you can choose new responses, new actions, and new results. You are no longer a victim of circumstance or emotion. You can deliberately cultivate the state that produces excellence, resilience, and success. The power of state is particularly evident in moments of pressure. When the stakes are high, most people crumble because their default state is fear, anxiety, or self-doubt. But those who master their state thrive. They use their physiology, focus, and emotion to create a state of peak performance, and in doing so, they create results that seem impossible to the untrained eye. State is also about momentum. Small deliberate changes in posture, focus, and emotion compound over time, creating massive shifts in your energy, confidence, and productivity. Every morning you wake up, you have the chance to set your state for the day. You can choose to react unconsciously to the news, the people, and the challenges that arise, or you can consciously decide the state in which you will operate. This is the difference between ordinary people and extraordinary achievers. State also affects your health and vitality. Chronic stress, negativity, and disempowering states weaken the body, compromise the immune system, and drain energy. Conversely, empowered states, gratitude, and optimism strengthen the body, increase energy, and create resilience. Controlling your state is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice, a deliberate commitment, and a skill that must be honed with consistency. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, you no longer need to think about it. You naturally enter high performance states when they are required. Controlling your state allows you to break free from procrastination, indecision, and self-sabotage. When you are in the right state, clarity emerges, confidence emerges, and action flows effortlessly. You begin to notice opportunities that others miss, solutions that others cannot see, and energy that others cannot access. You also begin to experience life with more intensity, more engagement, and more fulfillment. Learning to control your state is learning to master your inner chemistry. You are no longer at the mercy of random thoughts, fleeting emotions, or external circumstances. You become the conductor of your own mental and emotional orchestra. Every thought, every feeling, every action can be orchestrated to serve your highest goals. When you understand that your state shapes your mind, you understand that nothing external can dictate your reality. Your mind will rise or fall based on the state you cultivate. Your focus, creativity, problem-solving ability, and resilience are all amplified when you take control of your state. And this is where true empowerment begins, because once you have mastery over your internal state, the world outside no longer has the same power over you, and the life you desire becomes a reflection of the state you choose to inhabit. Focus is the ultimate multiplier of your life. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and what you focus on expands. Most people underestimate the incredible power of focus. They think effort alone creates results, that working harder is the key to success. But effort without focus is like trying to row a boat in a storm without a rudder. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere meaningful. Focus is the bridge between intention and results. It is the lens through which you see possibilities, the filter that determines what matters to you, and the mechanism that channels your energy toward outcomes that truly shape your life. The reality is that your mind cannot focus on everything at once. It has limits, and that limitation is actually your advantage because it forces you to choose. Every moment, you are deciding, consciously or unconsciously, what deserves your attention and what does not. What you choose to focus on shapes your emotions, your decisions, and your results. When people focus on problems, they become problem-saturated. They see obstacles everywhere, they amplify their fears, and their world feels heavy and restrictive. When they focus on limitations, they create more limitations. The mind is a powerful machine, and it cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. The stories you feed it, about yourself, about others, about the future, become your reality. If you focus on scarcity, lack, and what's missing, your brain will search for evidence to confirm that scarcity exists. Your actions, often unconsciously, align with that perception, and your reality reflects it. But when you focus on opportunities, possibilities, and solutions, your brain begins to search for ways to make them real. Your actions align with growth, creativity, and success, and your reality transforms to reflect that focus. Focus is also intimately tied to clarity. The more clearly you define your priorities, the easier it is to channel your energy effectively. People who lack focus often feel busy but ineffective. They scatter their energy across dozens of activities, chasing distractions, trying to do too much, and accomplishing too little. Focus creates leverage. It allows you to put your energy where it matters most, to align your actions with your highest goals, and to create results that are disproportionate to your effort. Focus is not just about choosing what to pay attention to, it is also about what to ignore. Saying no is as important as saying yes. Every yes you give to a low-value task, distraction, or negative thought pattern takes energy away from your highest priorities. Mastering focus means learning the discipline to eliminate or minimize these drains so that your mental, emotional, and physical energy flows where it creates the most impact. Your focus determines your emotions because your emotions follow your thoughts. If you constantly focus on fear, anger, or regret, you remain trapped in states that limit your potential. If you choose to focus on gratitude, curiosity, and possibility, your emotional state shifts, and with it, your perception of life changes. Focus also shapes your identity. The things you pay attention to repeatedly become part of your self-concept. If you constantly focus on what you cannot do, what is wrong with you, or what others think, your mind internalizes those stories and your sense of self shrinks. If you focus on growth, progress, and what is possible, your self-image expands and your confidence grows. One of the most powerful aspects of focus is its ability to shape long-term results. Success is rarely about one big decision. It is the accumulation of small, focused actions consistently applied over time. Every day, every hour, every minute you spend focused on what matters compounds into the life you ultimately create. The law of focus works in both positive and negative ways. Just as consistent focus on your goals accelerates growth, consistent focus on distractions, complaints, or fears compound setbacks and frustrations. Learning to control your focus is therefore one of the most important skills you can develop. Focus is also a form of mental discipline. In a world full of constant notifications, opinions, and entertainment designed to steal your attention, being able to direct your mind toward what truly matters is a superpower. It allows you to cut through noise, ignore irrelevant stimuli, and channel your energy into productive, high-value activities. Mastery of focus also enhances creativity and problem solving. When your mind is fully engaged on a single challenge or opportunity, it begins to connect ideas, see patterns, and generate solutions that scattered thinking would never reveal. Focus allows deep work, flow states, and breakthrough performance, all of which are essential for extraordinary results. Focus determines not only what you achieve, but also how you experience life. People who focus on beauty, possibility, and gratitude notice joy, inspiration, and abundance everywhere. People who focus on scarcity, danger, and negativity experience fear, stress, and frustration everywhere. Focus literally filters your reality and colors every experience. Focus is also a choice. You are constantly deciding, whether consciously or unconsciously, what to attend to. You can choose to react to every stimulus around you, letting your attention be hijacked by social media, other people's drama, or mindless habits. Or you can choose to direct your focus intentionally toward what advances your goals, strengthens your character, and enriches your life. Focus amplifies your power because it concentrates your energy. Energy without focus is like trying to light a room with a single candle in a storm. Focus allows that candle to burn bright, cutting through the chaos and illuminating a path forward. Focus is the difference between those who drift through life hoping for luck and those who deliberately shape their destiny. Those who master focus understand that small, directed effort over time creates massive results. Focus also allows for resilience under pressure. When life throws challenges, distractions, or setbacks at you, the ability to maintain focus ensures that you stay on track, keep moving toward your goals, and don't get derailed by temporary chaos. Developing focus requires practice. It requires noticing when your mind drifts, redirecting attention, and strengthening the habit of deliberate attention. It also requires clarity of purpose, knowing exactly what you want and why you want it, because without a clear target, focus becomes scattered and ineffective. Focus is the hidden force behind every extraordinary achievement. It is the reason some people accomplish in 5 years what others cannot accomplish in 50. Focus determines how you allocate your time, your energy, and your resources. It determines which opportunities you recognize and seize and which you overlook. Focus determines what you remember, what you learn, and what you build into your life. Focus is not just about work or achievement. It is about your mind, your attention, and your life. It shapes the reality you experience moment to moment, day by day. When you cultivate awareness of where your attention is going and consciously direct it toward what truly matters, you begin to take control of your life in ways most people never imagine. The mind obeys the direction of your focus. It cannot help but generate thoughts, emotions, and actions consistent with where you place your attention. If you want to change your life, you must first change your focus. Focus is the lens through which you perceive reality, the filter that determines your emotions, and the channel that directs your energy into tangible results. It is the ultimate lever of human potential, the tool that separates those who drift from those who dominate, and the secret weapon of every high achiever. Limiting beliefs are invisible chains. They are the stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you can do, and what life allows you to achieve. Most people walk through life carrying beliefs that were implanted in childhood, formed from experiences, or adopted from society, and they accept them as truth without question. These beliefs are powerful because they shape your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. If you believe you are not capable, not worthy, or not deserving, your mind will unconsciously make sure you act in ways that confirm that belief. Limiting beliefs are like hidden scripts running in the background. They dictate how you respond to challenges, how you perceive opportunities, and how you define your potential. The first step in reprogramming these beliefs is awareness. You must notice the thoughts and assumptions that hold you back. Often, limiting beliefs are so familiar that you don't even recognize them. You might think, I'm just realistic, or that's just how I am. But what you are really doing is letting old, outdated, and false programming guide your life. Once you identify these beliefs, you can begin to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this belief true? Is it serving me? Where did it come from? Most limiting beliefs are not based on absolute truth. They are based on past experiences, fear, and other people's opinions. When you challenge them, you create space for new, empowering beliefs to take root. Reprogramming your mind requires repetition and consistency. Just as a habit is formed by repeated actions, a belief is strengthened by repeated thoughts. If you have spent years thinking, I am not enough, the thought has become a default pathway in your brain. Changing it requires consciously thinking new thoughts, affirming new truths, and practicing new behaviors that align with the belief you want to hold. Emotions play a critical role in this process. Beliefs are often stored in the body as emotional associations. A limiting belief about failure may trigger fear, shame, or anxiety. To reprogram the belief, you must not only intellectually challenge it, but also create new emotional experiences that reinforce the opposite. This is why taking action is essential. When you act in ways that prove the old belief false, you generate new experiences that overwrite the limiting pattern. Limiting beliefs are often reinforced by your environment. Friends, family, and society can unconsciously remind you of what they believe is possible for you. To truly reprogram your beliefs, you must surround yourself with people, information, and experiences that support the new, empowering narratives you are creating. Visualization is another powerful tool. When you vividly imagine yourself succeeding, achieving your goals, and living according to your new beliefs, your brain begins to treat those scenarios as possible, familiar, and achievable. The mind cannot always distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is experienced, so by repeatedly visualizing success, you train your brain to accept it as reality. Language is also a tool of transformation. The words you use in your self-talk, the affirmations you repeat, and the narratives you tell yourself all reinforce your beliefs. If your language is filled with limitation, I can't, I'm not ready, it's too hard, your mind will obey. Changing your language to reflect possibility, capability, and empowerment rewires your thinking over time. Limiting beliefs also thrive on fear and avoidance. The more you avoid challenges, take no action, or hesitate to step out of your comfort zone, the stronger the belief becomes. Every time you face the fear, every time you take action despite doubt, you weaken the old belief and strengthen a new one. One of the most common limiting beliefs is the belief in scarcity, that there is never enough, that opportunities are limited, or that success is reserved for others. This belief keeps people trapped in fear, competition, and resignation. By consciously adopting beliefs of abundance, possibility, and growth, you begin to attract opportunities, solutions, and relationships that align with that new mindset. Another powerful way to reprogram limiting beliefs is through modeling. Observe people who have achieved what you want, study their mindset, and notice how they think differently. Beliefs are often transferable. When you model the thinking patterns of someone who consistently succeeds, you accelerate the process of internalizing empowering beliefs. Limiting beliefs are rarely logical. They are emotional shortcuts designed to protect you from risk, rejection, or failure. But what protected you in childhood or in the past may now be keeping you small, fearful, or stuck. Understanding this allows you to separate the belief from reality and replace it with one that serves your growth and potential. Reprogramming beliefs also requires patience and persistence. Your brain is wired to favor familiar patterns. Changing a belief is like rerouting a river. It takes time, effort, and repeated practice before the new pathway becomes dominant. Celebrate small wins, acknowledge progress, and reinforce the new beliefs with each success. Emotional anchors accelerate change. Pairing new beliefs with strong, positive emotions, excitement, pride, joy, or determination cements the new neural pathways. The more you feel the truth of your empowering beliefs in your body and mind, the more they become automatic. Journaling is another tool for reprogramming. Writing down old beliefs, challenging them, and replacing them with new statements allows your conscious mind to engage actively in the transformation process. It creates clarity, reinforces focus, and strengthens commitment to the new narrative. Limiting beliefs are often subconscious. You may not even be aware of all the ways they shape your behavior. Mindfulness and reflection allow you to surface these hidden beliefs and address them consciously. Meditation, self-inquiry, and honest self-assessment are all methods to gain insight into what is truly driving your thoughts and actions. Reprogramming beliefs also requires action aligned with the new mindset. Intellectual understanding alone is not enough. Beliefs are validated through experience. Every time you take a step, confront a fear, or persist through difficulty, you create evidence that your new belief is true. Surrounding yourself with accountability, coaching, and support accelerates transformation. When others reinforce the new beliefs and challenge old limitations, your progress is amplified. Limiting beliefs often manifest as excuses. Excuses are the outward expression of internal stories. By challenging excuses, questioning their validity, and replacing them with empowering beliefs, you gradually dismantle the old patterns that have held you back. Reprogramming beliefs is not about pretending everything is perfect or denying reality. It is about choosing beliefs that empower you to take effective action, overcome obstacles, and create results that align with your potential. The mind is incredibly malleable. Neural pathways can be rewired, habits can be changed, and beliefs can be transformed. You are not destined by the limitations of your past. You are defined by the beliefs you choose to cultivate today. Belief is the engine of action. Every action you take is powered by a belief, either a belief that supports growth or one that limits possibility. By consciously reprogramming your beliefs, you ensure that every action you take propels you toward your goals instead of holding you back. One of the most liberating truths is that beliefs are optional. Just because you thought something for years does not make it true. You have the authority to decide what you believe, and by doing so, you reclaim control over your mind, your emotions, and your results. Reprogramming limiting beliefs is the difference between living a life of frustration, mediocrity, and fear, and living a life of purpose, power, and possibility. It is the gateway to confidence, resilience, creativity, and achievement. When you replace beliefs that limit you with beliefs that empower you, your actions change, your results change, and your life transforms in ways that once seemed impossible. Every person you admire, every high achiever, every visionary has mastered the art of reprogramming their mind. They challenge old stories, take deliberate action, and cultivate empowering beliefs consistently until their inner world aligns with the extraordinary life they desire. Limiting beliefs are not destiny, they are temporary, changeable, and conquerable. The moment you decide to see them, challenge them, and replace them, you step into the power to create the life you have always imagined. Action is the bridge between dreams and reality. No thought, no belief, and no amount of planning will move you forward unless it is followed by deliberate action. Most people misunderstand this. They think that thinking about a goal, visualizing it, or even believing in themselves is enough. But the truth is, ideas alone are worthless without execution. Momentum is created through action. Every step you take, no matter how small, generates energy that propels you forward. In contrast, inaction breeds stagnation, doubt, and fear. The human mind and body are designed to respond to movement. When you act, you trigger a cascade of physiological and psychological effects. You generate confidence, you build courage, and you accumulate evidence of your capability. Every action becomes proof that you can succeed. Procrastination is the enemy of momentum. Most people wait for motivation to arrive before they act, but motivation is a result of action, not the cause. Action creates energy, momentum, and clarity, which in turn generate motivation. Waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect moment, or the perfect plan is a trap that keeps people trapped in fear and mediocrity. The first step is always the most critical. It doesn't matter how small, how imperfect, or how uncertain it feels. The act of starting triggers your mind and body to move, to adapt, and to generate solutions that were invisible before you began. Momentum compounds, just as a snowball grows larger as it rolls down a hill. Each action you take builds the energy and confidence to take the next action. This is the secret of high achievers. They understand that massive results are rarely the product of a single giant leap, but of consistent, focused action applied over time. Taking action also reduces fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty and inaction. The longer you wait, the bigger the problem appears in your mind. The moment you act, you confront reality, gain information, and shrink the unknown. Action gives you control over your circumstances and your emotional state. Action teaches lessons no amount of study or reflection can provide. Every attempt, success, or failure gives you data, insight, and understanding. Each step informs the next, allowing you to adjust, improve, and grow. Momentum is born from consistency. It is not about massive bursts of energy followed by long periods of inactivity. It is about disciplined, repeated action that keeps you moving toward your goal, no matter how small each step seems. Momentum also creates confidence. The more you act, the more evidence you accumulate that you are capable. Each completed step, each challenge overcome, reinforces the belief that you can handle the next obstacle. Confidence fuels more action, which fuels more momentum, creating a cycle that propels you beyond what you once thought possible. Action is also the antidote to doubt. Every time you hesitate, you give doubt the power to grow. Every time you act, you silence doubt. The world favors the doers, those willing to step into uncertainty and take responsibility for results. Action amplifies learning. The fastest way to master any skill, solve any problem, or achieve any goal is to act. Knowledge without application is sterile. Action generates feedback, accelerates learning, and builds competence. Momentum requires courage. It requires the willingness to step forward when the outcome is unknown, when the risk of failure is present, and when fear whispers, wait, not yet. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of fear. The process of creating momentum starts with a single decision, the decision to stop waiting, stop overthinking, and start moving. That decision triggers the first action, and from there, momentum begins to build. Action creates clarity. The more you move, the more you understand what works and what doesn't. Ideas that seemed abstract become concrete through application. Challenges that seemed insurmountable become solvable once you begin. Momentum is also amplified by focus. When your actions are aligned with your highest priorities, each step compounds toward meaningful results. Scatter your energy across too many directions, and your momentum dissipates. Align your actions with your goals, and momentum becomes unstoppable. Action generates energy. Sitting still, waiting, or hesitating drains vitality, breeds doubt, and fosters frustration. Moving, doing, and progressing produces a feedback loop of energy, excitement, and possibility. Momentum is contagious. The more you act, the more you inspire others, attract support, and generate opportunities. Action creates visibility, credibility, and influence, which in turn generate more resources to accelerate your progress. Action is a master teacher. Every step, every attempt, every experiment teaches lessons about yourself, your abilities, and your environment. Experience gained through action is invaluable and cannot be replaced by theory alone. Momentum also transforms perception. The challenges that once seemed overwhelming shrink as you take step after step. The mountain appears smaller, the obstacles more navigable, and the path clearer. Action transforms fear into excitement. Every time you act in alignment with your goals, you prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are resourceful, and that you can handle whatever comes next. Momentum breeds resilience. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are inevitable, but consistent action keeps you moving forward, building strength, skill, and perseverance along the way. Action amplifies opportunity. When you are moving, doors open, connections are made, and possibilities become visible. Those who wait, hesitate, or procrastinate often miss these opportunities entirely. Momentum is also psychological. Taking action signals to your subconscious mind that you are committed, capable, and ready. This triggers your internal resources, creativity, problem solving, energy, and focus to align with your objectives. Action builds character. Each choice to act, to persevere, and to push beyond comfort strengthens courage, discipline, and determination. Momentum reinforces self-belief. The more you act and see results, even small ones, the more you trust yourself. This trust fuels greater action, creating an upward spiral of achievement. Momentum requires urgency. It is not enough to act occasionally or reactively. Purposeful, proactive action generates speed, acceleration, and the feeling of unstoppable movement. Action also dissolves indecision. The longer you sit and deliberate, the heavier and more paralyzing choices become. Action cuts through doubt, providing clarity and direction. Momentum grows exponentially when you act in alignment with your values, your goals, and your vision. Random, unfocused action produces noise, not results. Intentional action produces acceleration, energy, and unstoppable progress. Action also teaches humility. Each step shows you what works, what doesn't, and where you need to improve. Momentum keeps you learning, adapting, and evolving. Every great achievement, every life transformed, every goal accomplished began with the first action. There is no exception, no shortcut, and no magic. Action is the engine, and momentum is the fuel. Action creates rhythm. Each step builds on the previous one, creating flow, focus, and energy that propels you forward. Momentum transforms potential into reality, turning dreams into tangible outcomes. Action is liberating. It gives you control over your circumstances, your emotions, and your results. Waiting, hesitating, or fearing steals that control and leaves you powerless. Action also multiplies impact. One person acting consistently can change their life, influence others, and create ripples that affect communities, organizations, and generations. Momentum transforms vision into experience. The more you act, the more you see, feel, and experience the reality you're creating. Momentum is a force that grows with each deliberate step, each committed effort, and each courageous choice. Action eliminates excuses, fear, and doubt, replacing them with clarity, confidence, and unstoppable energy.